What's poppin', Solow Sportsters? We're coming to you today from the beautiful indoor Chase Center at the US Open to talk about this rare racket, the Artengo TR960 Tour. This is the 16-19 variation. It's a whole mouthful, but we'd love to break it down, tell you what makes this racket so special, and why you should consider it for yourself. This racket is sold as a package deal with a matching Artengo string, which sadly, as we were rushing out of the country, did not have time to string it at one of the Decathlon stores. So instead, we brought it back home and strung it up with Luxilon Big Banger ALU power at 54 pounds. This classic iconic polyester string would be a good match for this racket, so we can test all things Artengo. The Artengo TR960 CONTROL Tour 16x19 has a head size of 98 square inches and an unstrung weight of 305 grams equaling 10.8 ounces. The swing weight is 315, putting the balance at the 31.5 centimeter mark or 12.4 inch mark on this semi-stiff 65 RA racket that is a standard 27 inches long and a constant rectangular 22 millimeter beam. The grip size is a smaller offering of 1/4 to 4.5, and it comes stock with an Artengo synthetic black grip that looks perfect on this black and silver cosmetic racket. Now, if you have not heard of Artengo, don't feel bad. This is not a normally distributed racket in the United States of America. I had to pick this up while stringing at the French Open. Couldn't go home without this cool racket, but it is sold exclusively at a French retail sporting goods store called Decathlon. And this racket is endorsed by Monfils. What happens is the store franchise is looking to create their own rackets in-house. Now, I don't have to tell you, working in a shop, there's a lot of red tape and things to go through when it comes to getting rackets and being able to share them with the everyday customer. So this particular store chain decided to take things into their own hands and create their own racket. So again, it is endorsed by Gael Monfils, but this racket is not the one he plays. He plays a denser racket that's a little bit heavier. You can only get this racket at those stores, those Decathlon stores, which I know are in France, but possibly other places in Europe, and they sell it on the website. But don't worry, if you're watching this at home in the States, I'm sure you can find one secondhand or on another market like one of those eBay, Amazons. There got to be a couple of them circling around, but definitely a cool racket to check out. If I were to black out this racket and black out a Wilson blade, it's likely that 99% of the players would not be able to tell the difference. They have the same weight, they have the same head size, they have the same string pattern, they have the same flat constant beam. There's so much that's similar about these rackets, it's no wonder that this racket will do well. They take and they use what's a winning formula in the Wilson blade and just kind of duplicated it, recreated it, made it their own for Artengo. And if you are a blade player, you're definitely gonna love this racket. From the baseline, I noticed first and foremost tons of control from this racket. Then right after that, I was getting great accents of spin and some good maneuverability with even a little bit of pop in there if you hit it just right. This racket is awesome to play whether you have a two-handed backhand, a one-handed backhand. It's fantastic from really anywhere on the court. Incredibly versatile racket, and I enjoyed playing with it. I found that I had great precision, I was placing the ball where I wanted, and just a good, bit dip, a good bit of pop, and a good bit of kick from this open string pattern. So if you like to play that old court style and you have an emphasis on maybe being an aggressive baseliner to baseliner, you're gonna like this racket. Going along with Decathlon's mission to sell this racket in-house and have a monopoly on it, they have a very interesting price point. This is about 100 euros or $120 to $115. And therefore you're getting a premium racket at about half or a fraction of the price of other rackets. So by kind of going direct from the racket supplier, Artengo, straight to the distributor of these decathlon stores, they're hoping to offer these premium $250, these expensive rackets to the customers every day, having limited marketing budgets and having limited distribution so that the player can benefit. What do you guys think? Do you think Wilson, Head, and other brands should be incorporating this style here in the US? Or is this kind of a dud racket and a dud system that we like it the way it is? Let us know in those comments below. At the net, this racket was exemplary as well. I found my forehand volleys, backhand volleys, everything were really pieces of cake, super easy. All I had to do was turn my body, really set up for the shot, and the racket did the rest for me. I like that this is a slightly heavier racket at 305 grams, so it has the maneuverability that you like, but then if your opponent really hits bigger at you, it holds its own and has enough mass to cater to that power. So loved it at the baseline, loved it at the net, definitely to be expected for an all-court racket like this.
The Artengo TR960 CONTROL Tour 1619 just scored okay in our Solow Sports graded review. Pound for pound, when you consider the price, the rating should be boosted a bit, but personally, I am not a believer that $250 is expensive when it comes to rackets. Considering on average people keep a racket for over 5 years, making any racket a great value. Having said that, the ideal player for this racket is someone in the European market who has access to this decathlon offering. They're just getting into the game of tennis and seeking a control racket on a budget, where if they develop and outgrow the racket, it's not that big of a deal. Similar rackets are the Babolat Pure Drive 1619, Wilson 98 1619, Solinco Whiteout 305 1619, and a plethora of other 1619 rackets saturating this genre. If price is your biggest concern, I would recommend getting a secondhand racket or a new old stock discontinued model while Artengo continues to perfect their recipe.
Straight from France and into your living rooms, we are bringing you the latest and greatest in rackets and especially exotic frames like this. Have you been able to get this racket on court? Let us know in those comments below. Is this a racket that you would try? Same thing, let us know in the comments, and we're gonna suggest some other videos for you right now.